What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. We're going to just wait for some people to roll in here. It's Saturday. What? Do. What's up, Bob Mack? Bob and Kathy. So Massachusetts and Winter Garden. Nice. What's going on? Welcome. Got some cool stuff to dig into today. Once we get a couple more people rolling in here, we will get right started. I got off the phone with some of my UK clients a little bit ago. Seems like a lot more people coming, either selling their second home here, taking advantage of some of the currency exchange, which is cool, or some people are looking to buy as soon as the pandemic is over. I had heard, hey, Laura, you're from England. I'm curious. So somebody from the UK told me this morning, they were like, hey, we find out next week if we can travel or not. Have you heard anything about that and like what that means, what that might mean? I'm curious. Hey, Carol from Toronto. Good to see you. Massachusetts, MA. That's right. Hey, David. What's going on from the UK? Gosh, it's funny. We're typically working with a ton of people that are from Canada and the UK and Brazil, and the amount of folks that are like, as soon as travel opens up, we're coming to buy is like, it's huge. And so it's amazing to see like how our market is already extremely, extremely strong. And we don't have any of the international market here yet. And that's very, very new for Orlando. Obviously, we're, especially in the short-term rental market, it's a huge hub for us. So Laura says, from the latest I understand in the press, I don't think we're allowed to travel until at least July. Yeah, that stinks. But understood. What's up, Tim? From Washington, but not for long. That's right, man. What's going on? Nate Swan, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, I think we're good to get going. Whether people stick to that advice or not, waiting until July. Yeah, that's interesting. I knew plenty of people that are flying back and forth, that planes fly back and forth right now, but I guess we'll see. So I've got a few things for you today. Let's get the first one up here. I thought this is kind of an interesting thing. So the first story I was going to talk about today, let's see, there we go. So this house, it was interesting to see what's going on, Justin. Let's get it going, buddy. So it's interesting. This house was in the news this past couple weeks because they actually, do you guys know what Omaze is? Like Omaze is like you pay the $20 or you pay the $15, $20 for like a ticket to win something. And it was interesting because I showed this house the other day and I was looking it up online and it came up in a news article. Apparently they were giving this house away for like $15, $20 for an entry fee. And I'll start going through some of the photos. The owner was there to show it to us. He's like a builder architect. The backyard on this house is sick. But anyways, somebody won this house and they got to choose, do they want to take the house or take $1 million cash? And so the buyer happens to be from Georgia. And so she's like, I'm just going to take the $1 million cash. So now the seller's like, well, shoot, now what do? I got to sell this thing. So look at this pool. This pool is pretty sick. Miguel, you said you serve a few people from France yesterday. Where are you? Do you work at Disney? Where are you at? Yeah, it's a super modern house. It's got a couple warm finishes to it. I wish they showed the pool flowing, but anyways, it's a pretty sick house. But it was interesting to hear this lady won this house and decided, no, I'll just take the $1 million instead. I mean, if you're going to win, you might as well win. Let's see. All right, so a couple other things I want to show you guys today. So there's a few houses I pulled up today. So this is the cheapest house in Golden Oak. I was looking through all of the new listings going on. This one was built in 2017. 67 days on the market. It's 3,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths for $3 million. So this is the cheapest. This is the entry level for Golden Oak for a lot of you guys that are interested in purchasing in Golden Oak. If you're watching this on the replay, I've got a few clients that have been looking in this luxury price point. It's interesting to see how prices have just absolutely skyrocketed in all price points. I'm working on a multiple offer situation right now in the multi-million-dollar range. And so whether you're buying a $200,000 condo or a multi-million-dollar house, it's a crazy market. It's kind of insane. So this is the house I would love. Just need a Euro win first. Yeah. What would be the Euro win? If you like, we've like the Powerball, the Mega Millions. Like right now, see if you were to win, what's like the big payout over there? I'm just curious. So this is the house in Golden Oak. We've got the little touches of the Mickey down here, which are cool. Not overly done with the Mickey stuff, which is, I think, a good thing. Some folks go a little too crazy, but I think you're living in Golden Oak. I think it's a cool thing. But 3,500 square feet, $3 million, $3,049,000. So it's $872 a square foot. That's a big house. This one just hit the market, $5.9 million, 8,800 square feet. I'm showing you guys this one because honestly, it's my favorite that I found on the market. It's like crazy. David said he'd buy it. Yeah, for sure. The one in Golden Oak. This one's back into the golf course. Sick pool. Look at this. Hey, Helen. Good to see you. What's going on? So this one's got the wine room. This is an Isleworth. So this house built in 2018, 8,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 5 full baths, 3 half baths. Beautiful house. This is like one of my favorite houses in the neighborhood. So I saw it come live yesterday. I was like, oh, I got to show this. This is super, super cool. So I got a couple other ones to show you guys as examples. Here's one that's interesting. You know, when I talk about the luxury price point all the way down to like lower price points, we listed a house in Claremont the other day for $425, and the house had 11. This is crazy. It had 48 showings, 11 offers, and all of them were over asking. You know, eventually somebody waived the appraisal on it, and that's the one we took. Sold. I can't tell you what it sold for, but it sold like way over asking. It's just a very competitive market right now. So a lot of times, what we're doing with our buyers is trying to find something like off the market, because that tends to, you know, you don't have as much competition. Well, you have no competition if it's off market, and so that's kind of crazy. Buck says, I don't want to jinx it, but your new setup is working awesome. Yeah, dude, thank you so much. So I did a test the other night, and some of you come and hung out with me. I tried to break it. I used like my map feature. I loaded up a ton of different tabs online. I'm using different screens, seeing if I can't make this see if I can't break it. So hopefully we don't break it today either. But this isn't just a couple of other examples to show you kind of like how just amazing homes getting listed. This property was in Windermere, brand new spec house. So the builder built it to sell it in 2021, 3 weeks on the market, 7,000 square feet. And it was listed for 3.2 million, and it hit the market and was gone. This is another one. This is Element Home Builders, probably one of my favorite more custom home builders in the area. They're doing a really good job. Dual islands there, little black, so it's not all stark white. But yeah, they do a really, really good job. Yeah, so Jay asked a really good question along the way here. He said, like, how many homes are you listing right now and how long until contract? So I'm typically listing like 1 or 2 houses a week right now, and we're selling them just as fast as we're listing them. So most of them are selling within 2 or 3 days, depending on the price point. But if you're within realm of list price, you're going to be selling pretty quick. And so, yeah, it's insane. Like, I mean, we listed one for like 190 the other day. We had like 17 offers on it. And then again, with one for 425, another one for closer to $1 million. Like, all these are just, regardless of the price point, there's people moving here from all over the country, sight unseen buyers. You know, that's actually a really interesting topic. I know I did a video, sight unseen, like how to buy sight unseen. And there's a lot of people, a lot of sellers though, that are like, hey, if you haven't seen my house, at least, we're not going to accept your offer, because we don't want you to like buy a house, come see it at the inspection and back out and kind of like mess us up a little bit. So we're seeing a lot of sellers require that you see the house. So that's been my job, is to say, like, listen, 50% of my buyers don't live in Florida. And how do I get you guys a house without you seeing it and still feel really comfortable to move forward regardless, has been something that we do. So we do a lot of video. We do a lot of different things that to try to show off the house so that you feel like really comfortable. We're shooting video, opening doors, everything like that, to like, you know, really make you feel like you're there. I'm shooting like a 15-minute video, uploading it and sending you the link. And that's been working really well. That's been working really well on a lot of our folks. Here's another one I thought was interesting, and here's why I'm showing you this one. So, oh, let's see. Hold on. She said someone won. Here we go. Someone won UK 122 million last night, and so I think pounds to dollars, it's like 30% more. So 160 million, 170 million. That's not a bad payday, Laura. I'll take that. If you win, make sure you call me, and we'll buy you a good house over here. So this is one I wanted to show you guys because it was interesting in the luxury market. We weren't seeing a lot of high dollar homes sell. We were seeing a lot of like the townhomes, single family, but then a lot of these like massive houses. This house is 12 bedrooms, 12 baths, 11,000 square feet, 3.7 million. Like you can see total days on market was 212, which is a really long time. But now all of these big boys are starting to sell too. So it's like, it's, you know, the front of the house isn't really what they're showing off. Obviously that's why their front picture is the back of the house. But yeah, a lot of these big ones are starting to sell too, which is just crazy to think. Most of these are going to be turned into Airbnbs. But yeah, 12 bedrooms. I think I got one house more to show you. Oh, I thought this one was really cool. Checked out the interior of this one. So I'm curious if you guys were to buy a second home, because I know a lot of you watching are buying like a vacation home or maybe just a second home in Florida. I'm curious how much theming you think is too much theming. Obviously, this one was like dialed in so well. 4.4 million. It's pending, 10 bedrooms, 11 full baths, 12,000 square feet. And the front's okay. It's a good, nice modern vibe. But the backyard and the interior is really, really cool. Really cool. Hold on. So yeah, you're not backing up to anybody. I like the black and white pavers down at the bottom are super cool. Got the tile on the ceiling in the lanai or the hardwood, depending on which way you go. Yeah, but here, look at these themed rooms. I'm going to fast forward to the themed rooms. Like, are these too much for you? Let's see. Like, that's pretty cool. Like I think that's pretty sweet. What do you guys think about this? Theming isn't big for me. It needs to be clean, updated in kitchen and bath. Yeah. So Hammer, I think I kind of agree. Like I like a good clean house, but I guess if you're renting it out as an Airbnb, you have to do crazy stuff like this because you're trying to like stand out from the monotonous gray and tan blocks that you see with so many people putting together. But like some people just go overboard, and this is cool. I've actually not seen something like this before. Kind of like street art, and then the rest of the house looks pretty good, pretty clean. Let's see what other theming they did. Got a little cigar room. This one looks like someone's actually just living here straight up full time. So yeah, it's interesting to see some of these people just kind of go way over the top on the theming. So interesting. What else we got? Yeah. So David says, thank goodness that the brown kitchens and floors of the past Florida's homes are not in the new homes. Yeah, there's so many that you go into and you're like, it feels so dated, and you're like, oh, this thing's only 5 or 6 years old, but it needs to be completely updated. It's kind of crazy how you see things change so fast. Let's see. I had a couple other stories I wanted to share with you guys and get your reactions on. Here we go. So Walt Disney World begins testing facial recognition technology, happening at Magic Kingdom through April 23rd. We went through the other day and we saw this. And so I guess they alerted everybody that were annual pass holders to let you know. What do you guys think of the facial recognition stuff? Like, I think that it's interesting to see. You know, so many people get freaked out about the facial recognition when we do it on our phones already. And typically when you're going in, you're giving them your fingerprint already. So the fact that they've got cameras everywhere, they know what you look like. But what do you guys think? Do you think that that's like too much invasion of privacy if they're keeping your face on record? I don't think so. They probably have your photo already when you're getting your annual pass, but the amount of like uproar online about this was so huge. And I was just like, I don't think it's as huge of a deal, but anyways, being able to get in, not touch anything, I think that's kind of cool. Streaming the Magic. What's up, man? Thanks for the love. So if you guys aren't following Streaming the Magic over on Facebook, they have a really cool group, good page. There's like 90,000 people that already follow them. There's constantly putting, like live stuff from the parks, and I actually just became one of their sponsors, and so we're putting out new content over there as well, so that's pretty cool. But what's the closest he asked, what's the closest neighborhood near Disney where the average homes are under 300? So close to Disney, under 300. It really depends if you want to rent it out short term or not. There's plenty of like townhomes that you can get, under 300, like right up and around Celebration. Reunion, you can still get stuff in the 200s if it's like a condo, or condo really is all you can get under 300. So it depends on what your uses wants to be. There's also like Indian Village, some of these other places really close by. Windsor Hills, you can still get something under 300. So those are all really very, very close, within 5-10 minutes of Disney, where you can rent them out. The biggest difference is like if you're going to if you're getting something newer or not, right? So the farther away from Disney you get, the newer the homes you'll be able to get for that money. And then the closer you get, the more outdated the places are typically at the 300 number, but you can still get like a nice townhome in Reunion, something relatively updated, mid twos, just that HOA fee that still kind of crazy. Back to the mask thing. So Laura says, it seems like a strange time to introduce while the face masks are still in place. I agree. Like they made you take your hat off and your glasses, but then they got the mask still. So it's like, are they picking up your ears and your eyes? That's pretty much it. Wow. Well, it's interesting. Interesting. All right. So Steve in Windermere, let's get in some question and answer, and I'll kind of keep rolling back and forth between some different stories that I'm finding. But Steve says, Horizon West overdeveloped for high-end home, or Windermere a better choice? So it's going to really depend. I think that if you there's some really very nice homes and areas in Horizon West. You can get pushing that $1 million plus range, no problem. And I think you're going to get a better buy for the land in Horizon West. And so it really comes down to your budget. Like if you're looking in Windermere on the Butler chain, like I was just telling somebody this the other day, if you're looking for a lot, like a tear down on the Butler chain, you're looking at $1.5 million just for the lot. And so, so it just depends on like, what your budget is. If your budget is $3-4 million, well, you probably want to put it around other $3 and $4 million homes. And that would be Windermere. If you're trying to keep your cost down, then I think Horizon West would be where I would build. So hopefully that answers your question. I didn't see there was a bunch of other ones that popped through here. My fault. Hey, one question I had for you guys is, so I've been doing 2:00 for our lives every other week for the past few months now. As 2:00 Eastern great for you guys? I know some of you are on the West Coast of the United States. So right now it's 11:17 for you. And then some of you guys are in the UK. So it's like kind of a 7 p.m. I'm sort of curious if I bumped it to like noon or 1, if that would actually be better for our viewership. So whether you're watching live or on the replay, make sure you comment down below, because I'm thinking about maybe testing different times to see what works best for people, because I love the live interaction. The Q&A is my favorite part, and I think that what most of you guys get the most out of. So the more people that show up, the better live. So so Hammer asked, this is a good question. So St. Cloud off Narcoossee, nice area for new construction homes. So my team is selling a lot of houses up and down Narcoossee, from Lake Nona all the way down into St. Cloud. And I think St. Cloud, if you get too far deep into it, it's really hard to get out in terms of like traffic. But right up and down Narcoossee, which is busy to begin with, there's a lot of really good value buys. You can get something new construction for the low 300s, which is hard to do, like a single family, detached, decent yard, decent quality, low 300s, and you're like Lake Nona, adjacent, if you will. So you could pop over, use everything that is going on in Lake Nona without having to pay $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for a house. So I think that's maybe a good spot to start. So Helen, you asked Horizon West east or west of 429, in terms of like which one's better or where is it located? Because it actually touches both sides of 429. So Laura said that this is a good time. Saturday nights are now a thing of the past. That's true. Doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter for you. So that's just popped up and you're good to go. I think that's just cool. Oh, so Helen asked, going back to the Horizon West. So which one's better? So I think, east of 429 is more established. Pretty much all the neighborhoods are finished. The only neighborhoods that are going to be left if you want brand new construction are going to be west of 429. And so that's really going to be your deciding factors. If you're cool with resale, then you're going to be on one side of 429. If you're only looking at new construction, then you got to be on the other side. That's going to make your determination. All right, so Ian, streaming the magic. So the tech is supposed to work with the masks, with be able to work with the masks. Believe it or not, yeah, no, I heard that it's supposed to work with the masks. So are they setting it up though for after the fact so that we're not having to constantly touch something that someone else has already touched? Because I noticed that some parks with Disney that the fingerprint is starting to work again. Like they're asking you to sign in. I'm like, that seems sort of unsanitary. Nobody's wiping it down. Nobody's asking you to like clean your hands first. So you've got a ton of other people just constantly doing like, which we always had. But I thought that was kind of an interesting thing that they started asking you to sign in with your finger again. Yeah. So David says, and with the magic bands, they track literally every movement in your park. It's right. Yeah. So like I remember going on rides and all of a sudden like photos show up in your My Disney Experience app. And you're like, I don't remember tagging like to get the photo. And you're like, no, they know you're on the ride anyways. So like Disney knows like you're there, you're in the system. You might as well just enjoy it. That's kind of the way I look at it. But the one thing I am going to miss is if they're talking about getting rid of magic bands. So you can still have them and still use them, but a lot of it's going to be going to the app, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think like just the culture of it, buying the cool new, the new band that pops up, like all that stuff I think it's fun. All right. So Miss Johnson says, we just built a new Pulte home in Michigan and want to get a second home Florida this year. We know Pulte is building there. What are other Florida builders that we should consider? It's a great question. So Pulte, it's funny. I'm from Michigan, and in Michigan, Pulte was not as good of a builder there as they are here. They actually build a better product in Florida than they do. And Lennar is actually the opposite. I've heard up north they build a really good house. Here, I'm not a huge fan of their standards that they put here. So depends on your price point and your area. So let me know the area you're talking about if you want to rent it out or any of that kind of stuff, and I can give you some ideas on different builders. All right. So Jay asks, do you think the market will cool down if workers are forced to go back to the office since people are purchasing knowing they can work from home? I had this question asked of me earlier today, and it's interesting because I had a client of mine. They said, hey, we have a letter that says we can work from home permanently, but now they're opening the office and asking people to come back. And so he's like, I don't know if I have to go back to Illinois or not. And so it was kind of an interesting thing. Like I know a lot of people have said, hey, go work from home permanently, and they're getting mortgages and able to, have something in writing. So if you're considering that, if you're thinking about moving to Florida and working remote permanently, I would make sure you get that in writing. And if there's like a time frame on it, making sure you're getting a little bit more clear. Because I have had people think that they could work remote, then start the mortgage process and then not get approved. And like, because the mortgage company will call your boss or your HR department and say, hey, Mary Sue wants to move to Orlando. Is it cool if she works remotely? And they say, well, no, not permanently. And there's chaos that kind of ensues. So something to think about if you are thinking about that. So Laura asks, post-COVID, do I envision a boom in short-term rentals versus hotel bookings as people seek a safer bubble for their holiday? We're already seeing that, actually. So the short-term market 4 or 5 months ago on the sale side, like there were so many houses getting listed because I think people were like, shoot, the world's falling apart. I need to list my second home. And so we saw a ton of them hit. And then almost immediately, like 2-3 months later, people started gobbling them up. And then now bookings are going up through the roof. And so even if people can't get into the parks, can't get into Disney, Universal because of whatever, they're just going to the houses and partying it up at the short-term rental. So we're already seeing bookings skyrocket. And so it's going to be an interesting thing. It's going to be an interesting thing, as we keep moving forward. I think that people will want to, have something a little bit more safe, but really just more cost-wise. It's just cheaper to go to an Airbnb. I think the experience is better by going to a Disney park and staying on property. But from a cost perspective and a safety perspective, I think people are going to be looking at houses. So Amber asks, best area close to Disney and the beach, 300 to 350 to 450. So the beach is like, 50 minutes away, 60 minutes away. If you're like in the Lake Nona area, so like Moss Park, Lake Nona, St. Cloud, Oviedo, you can get something for 350, 450 all day long that way if you want to kind of be on that side of town and not have to go up through Tourism Alley before you get to the freeway. So that would be somewhere I could take a look at. But feel free to reach out. I'm happy to shoot you over different stuff there. So Ms. Johnson asks, so the Winter Garden is where you're drawn to, and you're looking between 400 and 600. So if you're looking for between 400 and 600 in terms of builders that are available, right now it's really MI Homes and Dream Finders, I think, are the two that I would go first. And then later this year, there's going to be Toll Brothers is opening up a new neighborhood. Taylor Morrison and Ashton Woods, they're all opening new neighborhoods in Horizon West later this year. They're starting to move some dirt. And so I think any of those builders are great. Lennar's still building. Ryan's Home still building. Those would probably be last on my list, unless you're just like, they're just giving you a steal of a deal. But yeah, I would start with those other builders first. Otto, this is a really good question. So will homes around Epic Universe be bought and redeveloped for higher priced homes? We're already seeing a lot of people buy in Dr. Phillips, because like right next to Universal is Dr. Phillips. And so Dr. Phillips, for a long time, you started seeing the houses get like more and more outdated as people kind of started being more drawn to Windermere and Winter Garden. Well, now Windermere and Winter Garden are getting so expensive, people are marching back to Dr. Phillips, buying older houses, rehab them, and being able to get into something cheaper than they would if they were going to go build. So all of a sudden there's this boom in Dr. Phillips, Bay Hill's going crazy on pricing and all that kind of stuff. But the thing to remember around Universal, there's no short-term rentals. There's one neighborhood they're talking about trying to repurpose from timeshare to short-term rental housing. But right now it's all long-term. So if you want to have an Airbnb, you're going to be closer to Disney. If you want to just have a second home, or you want to just be closer to Universal, then like Dr. Phillips is a really great option there. Yeah, Buck. So Buck asked, do I have any information on Dreamfinder's neighborhood that at the intersection of Reams and Summer? Like I pass that every single day. They're moving their bulldozer down. They have not released like lot pricing or really much about the neighborhood, but I do check in with them weekly. As soon as I have some information, I'm going to release it to you guys, because I think that that's like the last frontier for new construction. Once it finally does pick up for that side of 429, I hope they fix Reams Road and make it a 4-lane highway as quick as possible, because it's going to be a nightmare trying to get in and out of there as it already is. But it's interesting. This is a good question. So Richard's Piano says, what do I think about Davenport? It's between Disney and Legoland, and closer to Tampa. Yeah, it's funny. I've had a lot of people that say they want to visit Clearwater and Tampa, and then also Disney. So they end up buying in Davenport. And so I-4 becomes a little bit of a mess to get to Legoland and that kind of thing. But Davenport's got a lot of short-term rentals. And so again, if you're thinking about purchasing in that area and that's important to you, then I think Davenport's great. Champions Gate's obviously like the mega neighborhood there, but there's a lot of other little ones as well that you can purchase in for very reasonable prices. And so whether you're going to rent it out short-term or long-term, stay there long term, or maybe it's just your second home that you're going to use a few times a year, there's some very affordable housing there. So I think that's why it's become so popular. It's like, unfortunately though, like traffic's tough. Traffic's very tough in Davenport, getting in and out. And so like, yeah, you're saving a ton of money on the house, but just keep in mind, like you're going to spend some time in traffic. Yeah, Jay had said that, are any more rumors about Disneyland moving part of their headquarters to Lake Nona? Not yet. I sure hope so. But I will tell you, I've had a bunch of Imagineers call me and say they're getting relocated from LA to Orlando and they want to look for houses. And so that's been interesting to see and hear. But there hasn't been any like formal announcement. So that could just be a few people getting reshuffled, or it could be the start of something. So it'll be something to watch. Yeah, Tom, do you know for sure, like, or is that just your opinion that it's going to be a 4-lane highway in a couple of years, or did you see something? Because I was actually looking online trying to find permitting for a 4-lane highway. I think it needs to be like they just did with Avalon. Like Avalon's way open now and it's great. I mean, in terms of like their stoplights, it's 4-lane highway, all that good stuff. Reams, I think it needs to be there for sure. Helen asks, is there any news on O-Town West regarding the residential development? So I don't think they've chosen who their residential partner is going to be. Unicorp is the master developer. They have like apartment buildings they're not the builder for any of this. They usually partner with separate builders. They just kind of control the land and the overall architecture of stuff, but they haven't chose their residential partner. I think that's a great buy though. Like people that bought with Pulte in Ruby Lake over by O Town West, you could have got a townhome for like 325, 340, and now it's going to be walkable to like this $1 billion development next door. I think it's a massive plus. This is a great question, Laura. So this is something a lot of builders are doing right now. So what does it actually mean when buying a leaseback property? So leaseback property is when a builder has their model home for sale, but they need to still use it so that they can finish out the neighborhood. So I saw this, I actually sold a leaseback home a couple months ago. And so the builder was like, hey, we probably have 10 more months left of building in here until we can sell out, and then we're going to moving on. So we'll sell you the house. Like J&J, I just did a video about this. Like, what does $1 million buy in Winter Garden? And J&J is doing a lease back on their house. It's $1.1 million. Then they pay you, I think it's $4,000 a month for the next 6 or 7 months. And then after that, the house becomes yours. So they'll take care of the grass, they'll take care of the utilities, everything. You just take care of the mortgage and insurance, and they're going to rent it for you. So the cool thing about that is like you're locking in interest rates today. You're getting some income from the house until you can start using it. And it's great. So I think that especially with inventory as low as it is, my fear is that you go into new construction, you sign a lease or you sign an agreement to build for the next 10 months. And then in 10 months, the interest rates are up, 0.5%. And so this is a way to lock in without having to worry about it. Super good question, though. You own in Oasis Coves, yeah. So we got county plans. 4 lanes is coming. Good. Our kid, yeah, that's good. I'm up and down Reams multiple times a day, and that traffic around 4 or 5 gets to be a little crazy. Here's a good question, Jay. You always got good questions, man. I appreciate you showing up and engaging. It means a ton. So you own a house in Kissimmee and you get calls all the time from agents, most likely, that are looking to sell your house, right? And so even though you're probably on the do not call list, because so many of us are, agents, not myself, but people in my industry will call up and say, hey, I've got a buyer. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? And this is kind of like the dirty secret. Sometimes they're just calling because they want to get a listing. They know if they list a house, it's probably going to sell. And so they're calling through neighborhoods, just trying to find somebody that might consider putting their home on the market because everything's selling right now. So, if you're interested in selling, talk to them. Do you have a buyer? Great. Are they pre-approved buyer, or are they just like your cousin that you're bringing along with you? If they're pre-approved, great. Can you send me their pre-approval before you come and mess with my afternoon? And then kind of go from there. And if you could save some money by not listing it, great. But I would say not every agent that calls you that says they have a buyer does. So yeah. Yeah. Do you want to sell or no? Buck, you have almost 40 minutes without anybody mentioning Celebration Island Village. Someone's got to ask. So Buck is going to ask, and I appreciate it. As of Thursday of this last week, nothing. And so I snuck back there. I was looking, landscaping is in. It's looking amazing. There's like stuff online. They're moving forward with like the apartment buildings. I was looking on the bids earlier, and like they're bidding out for the new apartment buildings. Streetlight is the one that's the builder for the apartments back there. So like there's all of this activity, and I'm like, Mattamy, what's going on? So Mattamy is, originally they had me and a few other agents. They would bring us in for like to get our opinion on, what houses should look like, about pricing, what we're seeing in the market, on and on and on. It was a very collaborative sort of thing. And then over the past month, it's been like silence. And so I'm still pushing and always looking for more information. And the moment I hear, I'll let you know. But like, they've got like 7,000 people on this list and 280 lots to sell. And so like, I don't know if they're just going to like draw names out of a hat, or if they're going to, I don't know if it's going to be highest and best, because I tell you what, I hate it as a buyer's agent that some of these builders are starting to do highest and best. Like DR Horton is one of them. If I was a builder, it's a smart move. Like, it's a really smart move. Why would you freely give away equity, right? So like D.R. Horton, they're building houses, taking 6-7 months to build a house, and then once they get towards the end, they release it to their list and say, hey, whoever gives us the best offer is who we're going to give this house to. So it's no more, is it like, hey, base price plus options, you get to pick, on and on and on. No, they're just going to pick the lot, put a house on it, build it the way they want, and then once they get a little bit closer to closing, hey, if you guys want to come buy this house, it's 500 to start. Then we'll let the auction go for 3 days, see where it ends up. As a buyer, it stinks. As a builder, I get it. I'm not happy about it, but it's a lot of people are doing. So I say all that to say, going back to Island Village, I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think there's going to be more people that, more builders that go that route, because here's what's happening. Sorry, give me a minute. Because here's what's happening. So a lot of builders, they don't want to lock themselves into these contracts either for 9, 10, 12 months because of the trades that we're having issues with and the supply chains that we're having issues with. And so like lumber is going through the roof. Like lumber costs are insane, and that's a problem. And so all of these different costs are going up. And so they don't want to lock you into a $500,000 house where they might make 50 grand. And then 10 months from now, prices have gone up and now they only made 28 grand. And so I think a lot of builders are going to go the route that D.R. Horton is already doing. And I'm kind of curious if Mattamy does that with Island Village, just because of the market that we're in right now. Now, what do you guys think about that? Here we go. So Bixa asks, can you touch on what the $1 billion development is going to be in O-Town West? You mentioned, but I'm not familiar. So Bixa, are you familiar with the Orlando Eye and the Star Flyer and all that kind of stuff over in on iDrive? Well, the guy who did that and also built out like a good portion of Restaurant Row, his name is Chuck Woodall. He owns Unicorp. He bought a bunch of land right off of I-4 and Darrell Carter Parkway, and they're building what they're calling O-Town West. It's $1 billion development. They're moving a couple different companies' headquarters there, so it's going to be like office, residential, apartments, lots of restaurants. It's going to be like a very little walkable village, and it's going to take it from like what used to be groves and like land to like a development like that. So they've got like the world's biggest White Castle that's opening up, which I'm not a White Castle fan, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are. So let me know if you are. I might be missing something, but there's like the world's biggest White Castle. There's like a hot dog place that they're taking from Chicago. It's like the first one in Florida. They're doing a lot of like little cool stuff over there. But there's going to be some residential that's in there. There's also a new high school for Dr. Phillips and a bunch of other stuff that's going in there. So it's like this $1 billion development that a lot of people, myself included, are excited about. And they're doing an off-road from I-4 at Darrell Carter. And why that's important is because it'll free up like the traffic at Sand Lake and allow you to get back and forth into Dr. Phillips way easier. So I think it'll be cool. Bob, you get calls about calls and mailings about your selling your house. I'm curious, like what would it take for people? You know, I'm sure you guys get calls and mail all the time. We do it for some of our buyers that can't find a house. They're like, hey, we want to live in this specific neighborhood. We'll pay X. And so we mail the neighborhood. We call. Before COVID, we used to door knock, a lot of stuff like that. And it works. Like, you know, if I can play matchmaker and find a seller that's willing to sell and a buyer that's willing to buy, it's a cool thing. So I'm curious though, like what would make you call an agent if you got a letter in the mail? Michael says, what are my opinion on Jones Homes? Are they building on Hickory Nut Lake? So they are. They're almost done. Actually, if you guys know of anybody that's looking to purchase, they have a couple lots left, I think. So, but I like Jones Homes. I think they build a really solid product. Yeah, they're huge in Canada. They're huge in North America. They build a really good product. Yeah, so just because you won the bid doesn't mean you got the best deal. No, it just means you got the house. You know, it just means you got the house. I'll tell you a story about this. So I had a multiple offer deal literally a year ago. It was right before COVID. Some clients of mine from the Northwest purchased a house with me. And and it was multiple offer situation. At the time, it was probably the highest sale in the neighborhood for that home. And they're like, shoot, we're going to a pandemic. Did we overpay? Who knows, right? But they knew they wanted to get into the house for like 10 years. Like this is going to be their second home. They're not going to rent it out. They just want a place in Florida to live a few months out of the year. And I'm like, listen, if you buy it at the top of the market and the market goes down and then it goes back up over the next 10 years, do you care? And they didn't. And so interestingly enough, they bought the house. It was like for 700. Those same houses, exact same houses in the neighborhood are now selling for 850. And they're like over the moon, right? But that won't be forever. Maybe the market flatlines, maybe it dips. Who knows? Maybe it keeps going up. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, you got the house, you locked it in. And that's what matters. Disney for Brit says, what's a White Castle? I'm from the UK. Yeah, so White Castle is like it's like a little burger place, and they sell sliders. They're like this big, and most of the ones I've had are like super greasy. You know, you can buy a 10-pack of them, and some people love them. Like there's like a whole like following. They're like a big deal. So they sell them like by the case. Interesting. Yeah, so Melissa said that you got an email from Mattamy. I got the same one. Yeah, if you're pre-approved, ready to buy now, or wanting to see specs, I agree. I do think that they're getting close, but it also teaches me. I think what they're trying to do, what that would also tell me, is like how many of their 7,000, 8,000 people they have on the list are like serious, ready to go buyers versus like people that are just curious. Because I think there's a lot of people that were just tire kickers because they're interested in celebration, and so they're trying to figure out, do we really have 1,000 people that are serious? I would think that there's probably, of those 7,000, I bet you 800 or 900 might purchase over the next 3 or 4 years. And the rest of them are just kind of interested to figure out what's going on. Got a bunch of other questions here. Yeah, dude. So Jay, talk to me about this. So you work in the construction industry. A set of trusses cost $7,000 a year ago. Now it costs 3 times. Yeah, I heard this. So basically, the lumber package for houses have gone up like 30 to 40% a year for the past 3 or 4 years straight. And so that's right into the purchase price. And really, the builders, as they're raising the prices, they're not like making that back, right? It's just extra cost. And so I think that's why we're going to see a huge switch in the way new construction's done. Here's a good question. Are people in Orange County still doing Airbnb even though you can't? I mean, so Orange County, so if you're in Orlando, like the city of Orlando, they have an ordinance where you're allowed to do Airbnb, but you have to, only 1/3 of your house is the way that the verbiage is. So if you own a 3-bedroom, you're allowed to rent out a bedroom, but you have to live there at the same time. So you can Airbnb it out to somebody coming in just to use a bedroom. Whereas like down in Kissimmee and in Davenport, you're able to Airbnb the whole house. It's a whole different vibe. I think Airbnb, that's kind of how it started, was it was like, hey, I've got an extra room. I've got a garage apartment. I've got something like that. Somebody's traveling in, they pop in, use your room for a couple nights. That's kind of how it started. But yeah, Orange County, for the most part, has kind of the same rule where you're not allowed to do anything under. Some areas it's 7-month leases, other areas it's 12-month leases. And so, yeah, just depends. This is a great question from Laura. Laura, so if you win the Powerball or the UK lottery, so you said you're saving for a holiday. Laura says she's saving for a holiday home in Orlando. As a foreign buyer, do I have any tips relating to the transfer of money to the US? So yes, we utilize Money Corp. So they're a currency exchange company. And why that's important is because other banks, like big banks, will charge you much higher fees to transfer money. So like if you have a Chase account, if you're going to wire from your account in the UK to a Chase account here in America and go back and forth, they're typically charging you like 1% to 2% to do that. And like a Money Corp, a currency exchange company, there's a bunch of them out there. Money Corp's just they're actually headquartered in London, and they also have their second place here. They charge you like a fraction of that, and they specialize in just currency exchange. So I do a lot of business with them. They're quite good. So yeah, I could set you up with a contact there if you're looking for it. Yeah, so that's another thing. You just need to be there. Regions and Celebration will do it on the spot. Yep, that's true. regions? Anybody? Yeah. So here's a question or an interesting thing that the Irish hammer, TIH, the hammer. Um, Trying to come up with a good one. Anyways, so Island Village is going to be very expensive, and Old Celebration is now overpriced. I tell you what, Old Celebration, this is an insane deal. So I was talking to a buyer the other day. This time last year, there were 50 houses for sale, or like 40 something houses for sale, single family homes, not condos, townhomes, just single family homes. And that's a very normal amount of houses. I mean, 40 houses to choose from in all price points from 300 to 3 million. There were 40, 50 to choose from. As of the other day, there were 7 houses to choose from, starting at like 425 up to 3.7 million. And that's not a lot of houses. And so most of them are selling overpriced. I saw one house was listed for 650. They probably need to sell for 500 based on the comparables, but the thing had multiple offers, needed everything, needed like stucco work, kitchens, baths, just everything. And it sold multiple offers. And so that's what Old Celebration's looking at. So that becomes a cost prohibitive thing, is like, you're going to buy a house in Celebration, have to put $100,000 into it. Or do you go new construction in Island Village? And I think, Melissa, I answered this question, and you were very kind to respond to one of my shorts. I think it's a good question. Like, do you want new construction, pay a little bit of a premium, but then not have to do anything? Or, do you want to go closer to town, kind of around a more of a proven quantity, knowing that you're buying something that there's just not that many of, and then rehab to your liking? And it's just really going to come down to your budget. So anyhow. So Bob says, well, we were ready to sell in Kissimmee. We reached out to a realtor that was known to us, close friends. So it's interesting that you say that, because, and for those of you that just joined us, we're up to 100 people. Hey, what's up? For those of you who joined us, I asked the question like, hey, if someone called you or mailed you, would you respond, or what would cause you to respond, or how do you choose a realtor? And I was just sort of curious as an agent, as a marketer. And I think that's what it comes down to, Bob, is it's relationships. So much of this, it's not like, there's plenty of like billboard lawyers up on the freeways, right? But if I get hurt, I'm going to go get a referral from a friend on who I should call, right? And I think that so much of this business is relationships. That's what I do this YouTube stuff, is like, so many of you guys may never use me as your realtor, but hopefully you know me a little bit more, that I'm not just like sending you postcards, And so if I can provide a ton of value up front, whether you use me or not, that's kind of my mission. It's just like, give more free information, let people be more educated consumers, and then hopefully through that, some of you guys reach out to use me. That's kind of my dig. Yeah. So you said we're planning to move there at the end of next year. Visas allowing from the UK. Do you need to register with a realtor before we have a nosy? Oh, it's have a nosy around a model home. Model homes, you don't. You can actually just go into a builder's model. Although they'll push you. Hey, are you working with a realtor or not? They don't want to like have a realtor all of a sudden show up at closing and say, oh, they're my clients, I want to get paid, right? And so it's always good to like build a relationship with a realtor up front, so you're looking in the right places. If you get a good realtor, they're going to point you out. Here's where some good areas are. Not great builders because of X, Y, and Z. And then essentially, if you're going to retain a realtor, it shouldn't cost you anything, but they do want to know that you're like either pre-approved or paying cash, just so that we can kind of have an idea where you're at in the process. So. Jeez. The Irish Hammer is the National Lumber and Building Material Company. So one of the largest in the nation. Costs aren't coming down anytime soon. Lumber is now $1,012 for 1,000 foot of board, and it was half that back in November. That's insane. So I'm curious. Okay, so that's to quantify that for people watching, like $1,000 for 1,000 board foot. So what would a normal house need, like a 3,000 square foot house? What would that lumber package cost? I'm just sort of curious. Bix asks, what's my prediction about the amount of appreciation that will take place in Laureate Park, Lake Nona? I know you purchased a townhome there. So yeah, if you guys are following me on Instagram, I'm kind of documenting that process. They should be starting the building here shortly. I think so. We're buying a place for like 350. My guesstimate is that over the next 5 years, it's worth probably 450, but like, it's a guesstimate, right? That's just in my mind. Like, a 2,000 square foot townhome that's walkable to Nemours Hospital and walkable to town center is probably going to have a decent bit of value. But I'm kind of in it for the long play. For me, it's like, I'm going to rent it out. Someone else is going to pay it off for me. I'm going to use that money and pay for my kids' college, and I have a few other places that we'll do that same thing with. And so that's kind of my thinking behind it. So whether it appreciates or not, it doesn't matter to me. Even if it stayed exactly the same, I'll still have the tax write-off and then also have someone else paying down the principal so we can then use that towards other stuff. And so that's why I'm doing it. But if I'm guessing, and my educated guess is that once Laureate Park is built out and Town Center is built out, that's going to continue to be the jewel of Orlando, again, in my opinion. And so I think the prices are going to continue to go up. So going back to the question about like how much, so 6,300 square feet for, yeah, so it's like $12,000 just for the board for the house. So, and that used to be $6,000. So that essentially is that $5 or $6 grand is pushed right back onto a buyer. It's kind of wild. All right. So Bob says he's convinced to use us. So you love where you are now, but we should definitely grab a beer at Crooked Can. Actually, if you guys live in the area already, my team and I, we're actually looking to purchase a building in Winter Garden near the Crooked Can to house our team and some of the other businesses that we're putting together. And so if you know anybody selling commercially, make sure they reach out. Off market is great. There's nothing for sale right now, and that's my problem. So I'm actually looking not only for my clients finding houses, I'm looking for myself to buy a commercial building. So it's kind of wild. If you guys live in the area, let me know. All right, so we got about 10 more minutes here. I'm going to go through some of these questions to see. Jay mentioned follow me on Instagram. Yeah, if you don't mind, if you want to follow along what's going on here in Orlando, I do put out stuff multiple times a day. It's like Disney content, theme park kind of stuff, real estate, obviously. Every time we post a new video, we post it there as well. We're also doing a bunch of new shorts. And if you guys notice, any of you that like subscribe to my channel, we tried shorts for this week for the first time. If you don't know what short is, it's like YouTube's putting out this beta where you can put out something under 60 seconds and it pops up kind of like Instagram, IGTV, kind of like TikTok. They're trying to compete. So I don't know. We're cutting up different videos like this, grabbing some of the Q&A. We're also doing like the 5 best X, Y, and Z in under 60 seconds, trying some of that short form content out. It's interesting because YouTube platform, not that you guys really are digging into this, but I kind of nerd out about it. YouTube, like it's long form. People use it as a search engine. You're moving to Disney, moving to Winter Garden, Winter Park, whatever it is, you're searching for it. And people typically like long form content. Actually, one of the biggest complaints I get on my channel is like your videos are too short. So we're trying to make them like a little bit longer and a little bit more informational for people if possible. But they just released the shorts and I'm just curious, like, if any of you got the alert, if you're watching other shorts, like other channels, if you like that or not. I'm just curious because like I need your feedback so I can give out better content so we can pass it along to the team and keep putting out cool stuff like that. Yeah, David. So, dude, I know you live out there, man. So, so there's actually 4 buildings going up right around Oakland Park. It's a little too far from town. Like I want to be able to walk at least like a half mile or less to the whole enchilada or Crooked Can or different things like that. Take clients back and forth as seamlessly as possible, or like actually right where you're talking. I did look at that building, but then when we started thinking about the logistics of like a golf cart and some other stuff, it didn't make a ton of sense. But yeah, something like that, dude. I appreciate you looking out. So speaking of, so the length, so 15 to 20 minutes content per video, an hour for the cast is a sweet spot. Yeah, I think 15 to 20 minutes seems tough for me, like to keep people's engagement about showing off an area without like repeating myself. I think like we're trying to get to 10 minutes. Like right now our videos are like 7 to 8 minutes. I'm trying to get to 10, trying to add a couple more facts, a couple more maybe B-roll shots to show you what the area looks like. That's something we're focused on for our new content that we're coming out with. Patricia, you said that you're not a fan of the shorts in general. Tell me about it. What do you not like about it? Is it because it's kind of like TikTok I definitely want to hear your feedback if that's the case. Can we go on site weekly, bi-weekly to, yeah, I do. So yeah, we do FaceTime, we do video, we'll do pictures, all that kind of stuff for our new construction. Yeah. Yeah, Benjamin. Okay, so I love this feedback. This is this is invaluable feedback. So thank you for this. So, so Benjamin says, lengthy content, seen the short stuff and wished it was longer. So, uh, yeah, I think that's most people. And when you're thinking YouTube, most people I think are okay. And I think that as a society, we're constantly like digging on ourselves about, where our attention span's too short, that a minute video is all people will pay attention to. But I think if you're into something, like there's plenty of YouTubers I watch that put out 15-minute videos and I watch almost the whole thing. So I think YouTube, maybe they're just trying to like do like something similar. They see TikTok's taking off, Snapchat's kind of like meh, but like Instagram's still doing extremely well and they're just trying to compete. So I'm just curious, just definitely curious. Yeah. So shortest attention span theater, not for me. Yeah. 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 Same. Joanne says, I like Delagio and Dr. Phillips, but want something like that on this side of town. What side of town are you thinking? Like Horizon West, or where are you thinking? What does this side of town mean? Sort of curious. Maybe I can help you out there. I'm going to keep rolling here. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Horizon West. I agree. I think something like the Delagio. Are you thinking like just the shops and stuff, or like the Delagio neighborhood that's like gated and that sort of thing? Watermark. Yeah, we live not too far from you, so I think what they're doing over in Hamlin, they're going to try to make it kind of like not as nice as Restaurant Row. It's not going to be, there's going to be a PF Chang's takeout over there. Like that's about as I think high end as they're going to get. But they're going to do a food hall, and they are going to have some other restaurant shops coming in. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, you know what? Over on Watermark, they're putting the New York Beer Company, which I actually kind of am excited about, next to a Starbucks, next to a 7-Eleven. There's like that little cool things coming in that's going off the ground. But yeah, I agree. I think if there was a little bit more higher end stuff here in Horizon West, that would be cool. But really, it was never developed for that. It was really developed to be a bedroom community. And so, I think Lake Nona, Dr. Phillips, Winter Park, Mount Dora, maybe a little bit. It's not really high end, but it's got the shoppable, walkable kind of stuff. All is pretty cool. You're gonna walk there? That's awesome. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna run past there every day. I'll probably run to Starbucks every morning now until it'll be a little bit closer. It's kind of cool. Todd, we talked a little bit about Island Village, man. Unfortunately, still nothing. I'll give you a call later about that. Can fill you in on what's going on, my friend. All right, content possibility. Without naming names, what should we look at in selecting a builder? This is a really great question, bud. So there's some builders that are essentially just cheaping out in general. And so you can walk into their models. Most of them are going to show you their models, and they're going to be all done up with the best features. Many of them, they don't even include that you could even pick. So I would ask to go see, hey, do you have any houses in the neighborhood that are almost finished that we can take a look at? And most builders are fine with it, but I think that's a really great option when you're building new. Figure out don't look at the model, because that's always going to be shiny and beautiful. Go look at something that they just are about to finish or just recently finished that you can take a walk through, and you start looking at some of the craftsmanship. Look at the trim. Look at the kitchens that they put in. What are the standard features? As a realtor, I look at this standard feature sheet that these builders give out, and there's like literally hundreds and hundreds of things on there that they offer, and they can get confusing. It's like way easier to go, for me, physically see it in person, and you can just kind of feel the quality. Are the doors hollow? Are they 7-foot doors or 8-foot doors? What do they offer in terms of upgrades? I know like D.R. Horton just started doing block on both levels, which I think is a cool option, but then their finishes are kind of cheap, and so you're sort of doing this trade-off of like what's most important to you. And so feel free to give me a call if you ever want to like talk builder stuff, because I am passionate about it. We do a lot of new construction, and some of the builders, asking them what their process is like How many times are you allowed to come on site? One builder in particular, they don't allow you to do an inspection anymore. Actually, multiple builders now, I can think of 3, don't allow you to do an inspection on the house anymore. So asking those questions up front is really important. Yeah, there's a lot of like gotchas. And so if you're not paying attention, you're going to have warranty issues, and it's costly in the future. So kind of an interesting thing. So Allison, this is a good question. So you're from Newcastle, England. What's going on? My favorites over there. So we saw a YouTube video that was trashing Bella Collina, saying there's lots of bad issues. So there's this one guy that lives in the condos over there that has been bashing them on like multiple different names. This has been proven. He goes under multiple different aliases and is like basically been trashing the builder because of past discretion. And he was trying to essentially frame them and say, hey, if you give me X amount of dollars, I'll stop bashing you online. It is what it is. But I will tell you, I've had a couple different experiences in Bella Collina. They've all been really good, but I do see what you're talking about. And so that's why it's going back and figuring out what's the build process going to be like, what's the development going to be like, what's the after sale kind of stuff, and kind of talking to the builder on what their process is for that. But if you look at the community itself, like I know a lot of people that live there and they love living there. The golf course is beautiful. The amenities beautiful. So yeah, I think that now that like Toll Brothers is building there, Dream Finders is building there, they're going to start being able to offer a lot of different options from like the $600,000 range instead of you needing $1 million budget to purchase there. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. So yeah, I like Bella Collina. It's a bit farther out for me, but it's a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful place. Here's a good question from Samantha. So how important is it to use a realtor when building a house? You're looking to move south and building seems like the best bet. So it's interesting because like our value proposition as a realtor changes depending on the market. So 2 years ago, my value was I would negotiate with the builder, better closing costs, better options, all of these things. Then I would kind of stay in touch with you throughout the process. Every other week, I'm sending you progress pictures, making sure we go to the pre-drywall inspection. We bring in inspectors before closing, trying to catch all these little things. And here's the cool thing is like, you don't get a better deal working on your own for the majority of builders. Like unless they're small private builders that will negotiate by not using a realtor, the majority of builders they pay us realtors out of their marketing budget. So it's not out of that specific house. And so all that being said, it's free to use us. But now my value, because like we don't negotiate options and closing costs and all that stuff because builders just don't negotiate that stuff anymore. My value is like finding the new developments coming up, knowing when lot releases are happening, finding like I helped a couple buyers this week. We couldn't find anything on the market. So I use my backlog of builder relationships to find off-market specs, deals that are falling apart. Like that's because I play matchmaker all day. And so that's where a lot of my value is on top of the follow-up, through the process. So yeah, that's me. It's a couple more questions here. We're going to wrap up for the day. Saturday. Hope you guys are doing super well all over the world. This is by far, these lives are like top 2 or 3 things I get to do is hanging out with you guys on a Saturday afternoon, talking real estate, talking Orlando. Love this place. All right. Here's a good one. So Brian asks, why do so many homes use electric instead of gas? The reason is it's developmentally, it's way cheaper for them to run electric lines than gas lines. So the developer can save money by not having to run gas and pipe it through the entire neighborhood. So gas ends up becoming, you put a tank on the outside of your house, you can pipe it in yourself, but it's not like piped from a local municipality. But that's really the big reason. It's cheaper for the builders, unfortunately. Yeah, Richard asks, so he's heard that a lot of builders are trying to maximize profit by building really thin and deep house, a 40-foot wide considered thin. Yeah, so there are like 30 and 40-foot products. Those are like pretty thin, long row houses. They call them zero lot lines because a lot of these houses you can jump from roof to roof. And so developers just like how many homes can I sell? How many lots can I jam into a neighborhood? to keep the prices down and still maximize their profit. And so you'll notice like some neighborhoods, like a Toll Brothers typically keeps a little bit larger. They don't do 30 and 40 foot products, but they're going to charge you more. And so like a Toll Brothers house is almost always more expensive than a D.R. Horton house because, well, the quality is better, but then you get a little bit more lot, usually get a little bit nicer amenity. All of these things go into that. But yeah, there's plenty of people. I think a 40 foot wide lot is small, but there's a lot of them. I appreciate that, Joanne. Yep. I appreciate that big time. Thank you. Yeah. So Hammer. So we actually sold a lot of houses off 27 in Sawgrass Bay. I think we've sold at least 4 or 5 there in the past 6 months. That neighborhood is booming. There's been like, it was like 200, 250 house, 225 to 250 used to be like a good budget to get you in there. Now it's like over 300 because of kind of like everything that's coming to the area. I think there's a lot of people that realize like Horizon West has gotten really expensive. So they're popping over to Claremont. Like I've been telling people that they should consider. And so those prices have like definitely skyrocketed. It's been kind of wild. So I'm going to wrap up here in just a minute. I have a new video coming out on Tuesday. It's the top 7 Instagrammable spots in all of Central Florida. I'm pretty excited about it. It was really fun to shoot. It's not, real estate related at all, but it's more life in Orlando. And so if you guys see that come out, make sure you comment. Let me know what you guys think. I am trying to do kind of like 2 different things. Like if you're moving to Orlando, I want you to have as much knowledge and be super, super knowledgeable about the area. Because when we moved here, there were like no real YouTubers explaining the area. There were really no great websites. So it was just us driving through, trying to kind of feel it out. And so my mission as for my YouTube channel is to like, help people moving here understand what the area has to offer. And then once you get here, how do I keep you entertained and kind of like find stuff that maybe you wouldn't find on your own? And so those are the 2 kind of videos that we're shooting. So love the feedback. The candid feedback is super helpful for me too. So that we're always looking to learn and grow. By the way, so if you haven't followed me on Instagram, make sure you pop over there, share the channel with a friend. We're pushing for 10,000 subs by the end of this week. We're super, super close. So I so appreciate it. But yeah, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks when we hit the next live stream. We'll see you soon.